Welcome to the latest episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. This is episode 198. Should you worry about the dirty dozen? Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. I'm Shelly Rael, registered dietitian nutritionist, and today's episode is talking about whether or not you should worry about this so-called dirty dozen list. And I know I've covered this before on the show, but every year, without fail, I get questions about the dirty dozen list. People talk about the dirty dozen list. They're worried about having fruits or vegetables on that dirty dozen list. So I just feel I need to talk about it again because clearly the message isn't going away. But there's a lot of things in the field of nutrition that people need to hear multiple times before the message comes across and is understood and accepted. So I also want to address that there is a lot of fear that this dirty dozen list creates. It causes a lot of people to be fearful of eating the wrong thing. If they don't buy their produce organic, then they might be poisoning themselves. And people often avoid produce altogether because of this. So I want to start off clarifying what is this dirty dozen. Start with the basics here. So you may have heard it before, but you may not know the origin of it. This dirty dozen list is published annually by the Environmental Working Group, or the EWG. And they rank produce based on pesticide residues according to the data from the USDA, or the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. So it sounds pretty straightforward. But it's not that simple. See, the list is presented in a way that implies the foods on it, like strawberries, like spinach, like apples, are dangerously contaminated. But what the list doesn't show are things like how much residue is actually present, how those levels compare to established safety thresholds, and how much of a certain food someone would need to eat before there's any potential concern. So again, we're talking about context here. I say this about many marketing terms that are in front of the package. While the information presented may be true, is it meaningful? So the answer to these questions, how much residue is actually present? Are those levels safe? How much of a certain food should someone eat, or can someone eat before there's a potential concern? Well, that last one there, how much someone could eat or would need to eat before there's a potential concern, it's a lot. Like dozens of servings of produce every day for years. And even then, you'd be below the safety level that has been set by regulatory agencies. And trust me, as long as I've been a dietitian, I've never had a problem with somebody having dozens of servings of produce on a daily basis. Heck, I'm lucky if they're getting a dozen servings a week. So, why does this list keep coming back? Well, it gets attention. It gets a lot of attention because you've heard it, you know it. Fear-based headlines drive clicks. We're talking about it. I'm talking about it. So it keeps coming back. And the headline, "Your produce is poisonous," is much more dramatic than, "Hey, it's not that bad. It's pretty safe, so go ahead and keep eating it." And the EWG's intentions may be well-meaning to promote organic agriculture, but the outcome often has unintended consequences. As I said earlier, people get scared or they get worried about whether they're choosing the right types of produce, that they may avoid them completely. So, is this apple organic? Wait, was apples on the list? Oh, I don't remember if apples are on the list. Well, since I can't remember, I'm not going to eat apples. That tends to be a mindset. And now it may seem ridiculous to you, but this is evidence as people are doing this. And it's definitely not the direction we want anyone to go. So I want to talk about this fear-based marketing a little bit more. Because here's what really frustrates me. Many of the items on the Dirty Dozen list are some of the most affordable, nutrient-dense options. Things like strawberries, spinach, apples, grapes. And when people see this list and believe they must buy organic to be safe, they may either spend money they don't have, or as I said already, skip the food entirely. So if they can't afford to buy organic spinach, they may skip it altogether. Or they're spending money on organic spinach when conventionally grown spinach is half the price. So this is the case where the fear-based recommendations like this ignore the bigger picture. The real risk isn't from a trace amount of pesticides. It's not from that little bit of pesticide residue on a blueberry. The bigger health risk is not eating fruits and vegetables at all. And food fear contributes to food waste, and that's not helpful either. It's not helpful for your wallet. It's not helpful for the planet. And especially at a time where people are really trying to stretch their food budget, food dollars, I encourage people to buy what they can afford without worrying about this sort of thing. So I really prefer to reframe this message. I want to make it clear. If organic produce is available to you, you can afford it, great. If you want to buy organic, go for it. But it's not required for us to be healthy. It is not healthier for us. Conventional produce is safe. It is a much better choice than skipping fruits and vegetables altogether. So if buying organic makes you feel better, or it's accessible for you, great. But again, if someone is on a budget or simply doesn't prioritize organic for other reasons, that is okay. Nothing's going to happen. Your body doesn't know if that apple came from an organic farm, the organic section of the store. It just knows it's getting fiber, vitamins, and phytonutrients. So with that, I have said this before, I'll say it again. There is no single food that I will go out of my way to buy organic. What I do say is all your produce should be washed, even if you're buying one that has skin that you're going to peel. So avocados and cantaloupe, wash those. Because you don't know what's on there from other people touching it, dirt, that sort of thing. It's not the pesticides, and if there's a little bit of pesticides there, you'll wash it away. So some final thoughts. I recently refreshed a blog about this topic that touches on this, or goes, not just touches on it, goes a little bit deeper into this topic, which I linked in the show notes. But here's the bottom line. Eat more produce. Eat more fruits and vegetables, however you can afford it. Fresh, frozen, canned. It's so good for us. And this fear-mongering about pesticides distracts us from the bigger picture. Eating fruits and vegetables, whether it's conventional or organic, is one of the best things you can do for your health. Go back centuries. Fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables are part of every diet around the world. So I just say, let's stop fear from getting in the way of nourishment and sustainable eating. All right. I hope this helped you clear up some confusion, eliminated some of the fear about whether or not you're buying the right type of produce. If you're buying it and eating it, that's the right way to do it. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. if you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who's been worried about the dirty dozen or is afraid of eating certain foods. I want to have everyone to keep spreading facts, not fear. All right, everyone, you have a great week ahead. Take care and bye for now.